Hello, Prince. How are you? Let me know if the picture and the sound is okay. If the sound is alright, if the picture is okay, let me know. Hello, Atharva. Hello, dear. Okay, good. Thank you. No, I didn't get a new a phone or anything. I just learned to turn it horizontally. Hello, David. I somehow looked back on my first videos and noticed that they were all this way, and I never knew how come then I get them all, vertically so narrow now, until I accidentally saw a little clip of someone talking about the difference between holding the phone this way or that way. So I'm glad that it's now back to where it's supposed to be. However, we will try to see. So I'm glad you guys are still here. Did you guys see my post on my own Facebook for today's talk, or did you just notice it coming from the Amazing Things in the World Facebook page? Atharva, thank you, dear. I'm good. Hope you're good too. Hope you all had a good week and sorted things out. It's been a while since we've had a chance to chat. Now I'm glad that we had this opportunity again today to catch up, and you guys can tell me what's been going on in your lives, and at the same time we will have a conversation about thoughts, consciousness, fear, desire, and ego, and how they interact and are related in how we negotiate everyday life, and we find our path through this ocean of life. Sometimes up, sometimes down, but as long as we can keep rowing, keep the balance of our boat, and keep it from capsizing, then it doesn't matter how strong the tsunamis or the storms are, as long as we have turned ourselves to become that experienced captain who can keep balance. Control in life, there is no such thing. All there is to keep balance. If you can become expert in being wise enough and knowing what to do, how to deal with things, how to manage life, keeping your balance, that's all control means. Otherwise, no one can control the events of life, such as the ocean cannot control the wind from blowing, and you can't control the ocean's waves from flowing. Here I am, my poetry expertise showing off a little bit. So let's see what David is making a comment. I have a feeling you can use a horizontal versus vertical example as an analogy, but you're right, David. I probably can. Aida, hello, dear. Good to see you. Salam, Azizam. How are you? Hope all is well with you. I'm glad to see you all here, and excited to see what's been going on in your lives, and hope that you've been mastering your abilities to deal with things, because as we just talked about, dealing with things is what life is all about. Otherwise, being able to read the future or how it's going to be tomorrow, or to control something from happening or not happening, it's unfortunately beyond our abilities, but I would have liked it if we could. So, nobody's gonna ask me what am I drinking today, because that's been one of your questions every time. Now, this looks like a regular tea. However, it's a tart cherry, sour cherry, and I've been lazy. Instead of actually brewing it, I actually poured a little bit of its juice, natural organic juice, and the rest is hot water. But I'm telling you, this is gorgeous. Sometimes I mix black cherry, sour cherry, and cranberry, pure juice, no sugar, and the rest hot water. But this time it's just sour cherry. It's really good. Now, David says, Mehranju, yes sir, I have a close friend who has major anxiety. Who doesn't? We all have anxieties. I don't have that problem. Good for you. But you will as the time goes by in life. As anxiety is part of our abilities to feel and function through. So you say, and then he continues, says, how can I help them conquer this anxiety, which is causing them much pain and making their life harder? Well, David, anxiety is kind of similar to fear, but not as severe, and sometimes more serious than fear, because the fear, you can do something about it because you know exactly what it is, and you know, either get away from it or whatever it is, and you deal with it. Different kinds of fear, of course. Anxiety, also like that kind of fear, it stems from thoughts. And most often, there is no truth to that thought that is causing the anxiety. For we're always in pursuit of psychological security, that elusive psychological security. And one of our genius way to think that we can attain that psychological security is to make sure that everything is okay, nothing is going wrong. For that, we always run a scan in our thoughts about our life. And we create these negative scenarios out of worry and out of being prepared for if something of that sort would happen, which in fact, none of them is happening, but our fear is creating this worry because we're trying to prepare ourselves so it will not happen. Something that hasn't happened, may never happen, we're making an effort to make it sure not happen. So in fact, we are creating it in our own thoughts. And how that is that we compare how things were with how things are and how things could or will be. This comparison creates time and fear, which before that, the anxiety is running through it all. Anxiety is a product of fear and time, which thought, time, and in this case fear, come to be same. Because thought and time are pretty much the same. Why? Because when you think about something in the past, in your memory is the past. So now you are no longer here, you're in the past. So your thoughts create a time. And when you compare time, what it was, to what it is, what it could be, now you created again time. and the comparison of how things were, how you liked it, how painful it was, and is it the same today? Is it going to be the same this afternoon? Will it be the same tomorrow? Comfort or the pain, which creates that fear. And all of that creation, comparison, and preparation for possible problems or the future, which is part of the brain's job to scan, to make sure everything is secure, and creates fictitious situations, that is what causes anxiety. But the good thing about this sort of information is that most often it's a lie. There is nothing's happening. It's only the creation of our thoughts. And thought often, most often, has no credibility, is stupid, is wrong. It's just conjuring up things because of its own shortcomings and its own pursuit of creating that security. Therefore, it's all nonsense. We put ourselves into anxiety. There is no truth to it. It only happens because we compare situations to how we prefer it to be, and will it be the same as when we liked it to be, or will it change, or will it still continue being as good, or what will it be tomorrow? And this is what creates that anxiety. So, which is the creation of thought. So, if we understand that it's the thought that creates it, not actuality, then we might actually feel a little bit more relaxed about it. But we all have anxieties, and it's part of that mechanism of safety and security. So I hardly think anybody that doesn't have anxiety at one point in time, when we were much younger, we don't have that. And the remedy for that, as far as I can see it, is to be able to learn to live in the moment and stop creating this time by going to the memory or seeing what it was, what it will be, what it is, and stop this comparison, creating time and fear through thoughts, and simply be able to pay full attention to the moments of life, become one with the activity and flow of things happening in life, which in that moment, which is very small moment, every moment of reality and actuality of life is so small because it always goes and the next moment coming. So in other words, there's not much time to feel afraid in that small moment if we learn to be able to live in the moment of the now. Because in the now, that's where the time stops. Because your mind, your thoughts, is not in the memory, so it's not in the past. Your thoughts is not conjuring up about the future, so it's not in the future. Your mind, your thoughts, is right here with what is happening. That's why when you're having fun, you're so involved with it. When you're playing a game, soccer or running or tennis, you can't notice how time passes because your thoughts are with what is happening. It's not going into the memory to go into the past. It's not conjuring up or worrying about something in the future to be occupied in the future, something that doesn't exist. So the time is not created. You're involved with what is happening at that moment, so time stops. That's why we always say time flies when we're having fun, because we don't even notice it exists. And that's the real living, to be able to live in the moment, to be one with the flow of energy of what is happening that moment. The activity of you, involvement of you, your thoughts, your energy in what that moment is all about. And that helps the anxiety, to learn to live in the moment. I talked a lot. I hope that is something that could be helpful to your friend and yourself. That it is. Now, let's see. Ida says, very well, thank you. Okay, good. No, Ida, I was not on holidays. You know, just like everybody else, I have my things to do, and sometimes it just didn't happen. Sometimes maybe I went, I don't know, as simple as gone to the gym late the night before, and in the morning, I just didn't want to get up that early. Confessions. And sometimes It's just amazing things in the world. For a couple of weeks, I think it wasn't available. They were doing some maintenance, I guess. And on Saturdays, on my own Facebook page, I was lazy sometimes and didn't have enough sleep because sometimes I work through the night when I have consultations around the world, and Skype consultations. If it's in Europe or if it's in Australia or if it's in Japan or different places, wherever it may be, the time difference, and I need to stay up beside my other things that I need to do. So when I stay up, it gets a little bit lengthy, and then when I sleep at 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning, I'm not gonna get up for that live talk, unfortunately, with my apologies. But that's the truth. But I do hope that I could have this on a regular basis, provided that there would be some reciprocation. I can see that it would justify the time that is being taken away from other activities and opportunities and put in here. So I'll see how I can make that happen, to make it both work for me and for everybody else in all aspects considered. So Rohaya, hello Mehran, how are you? From Malaysia. Okay, 2:36 a.m. in Malaysia. You're such a loyal friend to be here. I'm delighted that you could make the time and join us. Welcome. Princess, do you have tips for rejuvenating one's positive energy due to mental, psychological burnout? One ends up feeling sluggish and tired all the time, despite having adequate amounts of sleep, exercise, and eating right. Sometimes these activities help your physical energy, but not the inner energy that we all have. Okay, so what do you think the answer is? You just talked about you're eating right, you're sleeping, but what else is there that can encourage the flow of energy that flows from one end of the universe to the other end of the universe and passes through us? How can we encourage that? Meditation is where it takes care of the other part of our entity, mind and the body. As you know, as we talked about it before, mind and body both are what we are made out of. We're not just body to focus on eating and exercising and having sex and so on and so forth. These are all rules of body, pleasures and trainings and bringing sustenance to the body. But what about the mind, which is part of our being, but yet it has its own rules? So you can be constantly exercising or eating right and thinking that that also feeds the energy flow in the right quality, because there are negative energies and positive energies. Beside all what we've talked about the energy and the importance of learning and practicing meditation to encourage the flow of energy that passes through us on its way from one end of the universe to the other end of the universe in all directions. Beside that, there's also different kinds of energy, which many of you feel it by interacting with people during your daily life. Some of them just suck the energy out of you. Those are like dementors in Harry Potter movie. You know, those dark clouds and look like chimney smoke and all weird, representing that negative energy. Some people are like that. Whether they talk to you or not, you pass by them, their whole persona is unable to extend positive energy. So the good energy may even reach them and turns into shit and comes out and affects other people. It's no different than somebody simply trying to go to the bathroom right in the middle of the living room or in the middle of the city, and everybody else becomes subject to its foul smell. And the energy is sort of, negative energy is sort of like that. Whatever you emanate, whatever you become expert, and your intentions and your presence and what you're made out of is, that's what you turn energy into, whether you boost it in its own original way and quality and help others to develop and grow with that energy, or you are a dementor. You kind of, just use this, because some people are simply angry, negative, upset, and they don't have compassion. They just don't understand their role on this earth, and they constantly try to be, vicious, negative, of bad quality energy, which affects others in a negative way. Often you pass by someone and you don't even say anything. You just don't want to be near that person. You want to quickly pass by. So for that, you need to meditate to strengthen your ability to bring more flow of positive energy and extend it and turn yourself transparent to the beautiful energy of the universe, which helps you, your own health, healings, and at the same time helps others to feel good, to be near you, and to feel as if it would help them to feel good, so it would help them to heal of their problems, whether physical or mental. So these are all some things that you might want to consider. Meditation is very important. Thinking positively is very important. Understanding the role of your thoughts and consciousness, how they're interrelated, and be able to understand how fear and desire and ego has a lot to do with your emotions that you go through the day will help you out on that as well. You can, I don't know if you have acquired my book, Me, My Psyche and I. That book has a lot has a good chapter on meditation, a complete chapter. There's a chapter on time and thoughts, about thoughts and consciousness. And that book is a good book to help you to understand more about what's happening here, which will help you to answer some of your questions. Yahima, hello dear. Good to see you too. Good to see you too. David says, thanks, Meranjun. You're welcome, David. I may have misspoke. I agree, everyone has anxiety. Lucky I don't let it cripple me, but it is crippling my friend and hindering their life. Thanks for your answer. My pleasure. My pleasure. Maybe you'd like to suggest Me, My Psyche and I, my book, to them, and also The Transient Thoughts and Me. It's another book of mine. You can go on my site, mindthatseekstruth.com. You can be able to, your friend can be able to look at the table of contents of these books, and there's a sample chapter that he can read on the site, and then see if that is those chapters would be kind of titles and subjects that it could be helpful to him. So do suggest it to him and let him make the decision for himself. Mujib Rahman, thank you, Mehran, for sharing wonderful thoughts. My pleasure, dear. That's what we're here for, to share. Marilyn says, what is your Facebook page? If you look up this, the title of this talk here, you will see my Facebook page there. I believe you would. If not, it's called Mind That Seeks Truth. There are two of them, books and author. Go to the author. Either one is mine, but if you go to author, you will have all the posts and so on. Mind That Seeks Truth. So I suggest all of you, in follow-up of our discussions every week for the past year, we've been having these Sunday discussions, minus a few weeks. I would very much like you guys to do check mindthatseekstruth.com, my site, and see what's in there. Take a look at the table of contents of the books and go through them and acquire the cheaper version, which is the ebook version. It'll be quick and it's very economically situated as far as the price. I think you can handle it, or some of you at least. There's good stuff in there. It's written in a very plain language, because I don't write like sophisticated writers. I write to deliver a point, and that often, has enough elaboration. If your friend who has anxiety wants to understand about transient thoughts, which anxiety is part of its products, you may go and take a look at the table of contents for the Transient Thoughts and Me book on the site, and see if that is something that you would like to pursue. And all of you, just most of you, I think, if you take a look at the Me, My Psyche and I, you will see that's a book to have around. And hopefully in a year or so, depending on how it goes, I will have the, volume 2, the other things that has come up after I wrote that book. It's a book that I think it would be helpful in many ways. What is your Facebook? Okay, so we got that one. Got that one. Princess, thank you for your answer. Sir, I had a feeling you'd say meditation. Do you believe people meditate in their lives often, even without knowing it? Meditate in terms of focusing on their daily activities? Well, everybody is meditating in some way. Sometimes, it's good to go and just sit in front of the ocean, and the simplest way of meditation, if you don't know how to meditate, I can tell you in a second what is the simplest way to get out of your consciousness. Part of what meditation does takes the thoughts out of consciousness. And consciousness being limited in knowledge, as everybody's consciousness has got its limits because it's based on all the things you read and came in contact to and been exposed to and so on, but it's still a limited knowledge in the memory consciousness. If you in meditation, part of the thing that it does, it takes thoughts out of consciousness, which then you become free and you will become one with the now. Because thoughts being in consciousness, consciousness being memory, memory having been made in the past, thought being in the memory takes you in the past, takes you away from living life, takes you away from the now. And when it takes you away from the now, it bogs you down with things that you try to solve but no longer exists. Waste your time. But we worry about it because we constantly see life as what's in our consciousness, because our consciousness has become that gadget that Sony has made, the virtual memory, what is it, virtual goggle? Virtual reality goggle, yeah, that thing. So when you put that goggle on, you see a movie, let's say, or a game, your whole expanse of the frames is limited to what's in the game and in the movie. You can't see anything beyond the frame of the movie or the game. Therefore, you think that's the world. That's all there is. That's why you really enjoy it, because you're fully focused there. Nothing distracts you because you can't see outside of the goggle. And the consciousness plays and is your goggle, your virtual reality goggle. It has created a boundaries to your ability to see the world. It has made the world, as big as it is, condensed to become limited to your consciousness. Therefore, your thoughts roaming around the consciousness is roaming around a limited world, which makes you think that's all there is in the world. That's why when something happens in you, whether relationships or something happens, which is recorded in your memory, and you're roaming around in the memory, you think that's all there is, and that's final. And there's nothing else in existence beyond what is recorded in your consciousness. So what meditation does, takes you out of your consciousness, takes the goggle out, allows you not to be in the past, not to be in the present, not to be in the future, not to be anywhere, just simply be or not be, which is limitless. And that is like taking a break from all the connection and attachments and things that controls you, bothers you, makes you fearful. And it kind of revamps you. It's like you become new, full of energy, even if it's just 10 minutes meditation. Now, in order to get out of that get the thoughts out of the consciousness, you meditate, and the other ways that you can do. When you play a game, your thoughts is out of consciousness, because you're really focusing on one thing. You're neither in the past nor in the future. You're in the present. You feel fresh, and you're one with the flow of the energy of the universe, because that's what's happened at the moment of the now. When you're fully attentive and paying attention to the present moment, and you're one with the flow of the energy and activities in that moment, you're one with life, the actuality of life. You're not living a dead past. You're not in your memory. You're not walking, but yet in the past in your memory, which is your living becomes death of the past. In fact, when you're playing the sports, or we're fully focused in the now, you're living the now. You're living a fresh life. When you want to meditate, the simplest way, again, in my book, Me, My Psyche, and I, there's a big, long chapter about meditation, which I recommended. But if you just want to go and spend time with the nature to kind of rejuvenate, you can go in front of the ocean and just focus on the movement of the waves. Since every wave is new, and you're one with that action of new, of each new wave. No wave is repetitious. Every movement of the wave is new. Therefore, the new is in the now. If it's new, that means it just happened. If it just happens and you're with that moment, that means you're in that moment of new happening, which means you're with the flow of life as it happens, as it blooms. You're not in the past, you're not in the future. You're with the moment of life. And that moment of life takes your full attention on that wave. That wave or any other wave. Just follow the movement of the waves. Focus on them, relax with them, see them, observe them. Just see them and flow. Become the wave. And look at the waves. And let your thoughts be on the waves. Which means there's no thoughts, because waves are doing the work. And you're just observing. You're just following. There's nothing for you to do. You will feel relaxed. And your thoughts will automatically come out of the consciousness. And you feel totally one with the universe, without even noticing. But the effects of it will go in, as like new fresh energy keeps flowing in, and you become very calm and very relaxed. And after a few while, you may, while you're looking at the waves and following them, you may be so relaxed that you just close your eyes, but you can still see the waves, feel the waves, the energy of the waves. Follow that, and after a few minutes, you open your eyes, and you will feel like you weren't even there, because time stopped. You have no reference, and you feel like you came from a different place, as if you were in a different dimension. And you feel refreshed, hopeful, one with the power of the universe, the abundance power that is there, and you feel more confident, as if you're connected to something far bigger than yourself, without it being a physical world. So that would be an easy meditation for you. Hope you enjoyed that. Sonia, hello dear. Hi Meranjun, hello dear. Chris asked, what country are you from now? Right now I'm in Canada, in Vancouver, West Coast. So I don't know, the time zone might be different than where you are. Thank you, Gwendolyn, for sharing my video. I appreciate that. Gwendolyn, if you like to learn how to meditate, you can simply go to my site, mind@6truth.com, and pick up an ebook, Me, My Psyche, and I. And I have elaborate explanation of a chapter on meditation. You will enjoy that. Erdal, thank you very much. I appreciate for sharing the video, dear. So, looks like we have caught up with the questions that we have. Sonia says, "You're my hero, Meranjan." Oh, Sonia, my head is big enough, you know. So now I just bought a riding hat, and if you make it bigger, then I got to go take it back and take a new size, and it's just cost me money. So please stop these compliments. I appreciate it. You're very sweet. So, do we have any more questions? I talked a lot. What time is it, Prince, my dear timekeeper? Wow, what a good drink. Tart, sour cherry, this much at the bottom. The rest is hot water. It's also good for you. 12:07. Oh, okay. We still have another 20 minutes to go. So you guys better come up with some questions. Otherwise, you won't get your money's worth. I'll be just sitting here and drinking tea. And I don't think you want me sitting here and waste time, right? Goof off. Big love from Hamburg. Oh, my goodness, my love to Hamburg too. You know, I went to Hamburg once. It was many, many, many years ago. In fact, it was 26 years ago. I had some natural, organic, artificial meaning natural ingredients, coffee replacement. I was trying to market it in different parts of the world. So from Canada, I took a bunch of samples, and I went to visit my mother-in-law and father-in-law, and you know. So, and then I would take a train early on, 5 o'clock in the morning, 6 o'clock in the morning, from Koblenz. And it took a few hours, I think, to get to Hamburg. And it was cold and icy. The river was iced up, so I couldn't really cross the river to go to the company that I had an appointment with. So I took a bus. So I have a good memory. It was beautiful. And when I got to that company, their elevators were the old-fashioned ones, the ones that has no door, and it's constantly revolving. So you just time it up. As it comes there, you just jump in. And it takes you up, and there's no door. And when you get to your floor, you just jump out. It was amazing. I really enjoyed that trip and that experience. And I met with people, and you know, we did the sampling and so on. It was interesting. I like Hamburg. That's the memory I have of it, of course. Now, let's see what other questions we have here, or do we? Do we have a question? Guys, do as you did today. I appreciate that. Share the videos that you like, or the posts of the videos that I've made recently. If you go to my Facebook page, Mind That Seeks Truth Author, you will see lots of new little videos that I've made about happiness and success, about control in life, about the psyche, our psyche, you know, the whole combination of things. And also just yesterday I uploaded on the Facebook page one of the older videos that I have on the YouTube channel, which is simply about how to be confident after breakup. It's only a 4-minute video, and it was actually quite, to the point. And I think you might enjoy it. But do go on my Facebook page and encourage your friends to join us, because that is the only way I can get exposure. Because believe me, for the life of me, I don't know how some other channels on YouTube get some of their videos, or all of their videos, have a viewership of over a million, 800,000, 400,000, and yet many of you, if not all of you, keep telling me that my contents are amazingly different and superior in helping you to achieve what you want to achieve and deal with what you're dealing. But yet my viewership on the videos, as high quality as they are, and the comments and so on, and find it helpful, it is not that big. So I don't know, I'm convinced now that it is not the content that doesn't bring the viewership, it's probably the way it's tagged and so on. So the only way I know how to get that exposure, that I'm hoping to help more people and get the knowledge of my work out there, is if you guys would share these posts or these short videos or the videos that you like from the channel, YouTube channel, or from my Facebook page. So please do share the videos and let them share it, so that way I get my numbers up. So let's see, I have a question here. Says Sihan says, "Dear Dr. David, my dear fellow, I really appreciate your kind gesture, but I'm not a doctor. My education in university is not in medicine, and also my research, what I talk about, is based on years of research and interest to learn about the master who pioneered this knowledge over 100 years ago. And many of other people who talk about these sort of things, if they do, they have all read his books of 100 years ago, but they never mention his name. I have never read any of his books, but I was fortunate enough and interested enough to watch and listen to almost every single gathering, interview, lectures that he has done around the world. Psychologists and quantum physics mechanics, quantum physics professors would gather around, travel around the world to sit with him, to learn from him, ask the questions about how this works. And for me, it's always been an amazing journey to add to my own interest, which started many years when I was much younger, and then in university, then through Aikido and meditation and so on. But yet there was always something missing for me to put it all together. No matter how much I was interested, or I would come up with different ways of understanding my own psyche, but the works of Mr. Jiddu Krishnamurti was amazing, yet it was very elaborate and sometimes maybe challenging for some people to understand. But my interest allowed me to spend years of researching his knowledge and learn, and then be able to add my own experiences in life, my own way of delivering and analyzing and helping to deliver it in a same but different way, and hope that it will help people and continue his journey as much as possibly I can. So, I am not a doctor of medicine, so I want that to be cleared, although I'm honored for the honorary degree you just gave me, and many of you seem to give me, which I have to correct it. So, it says, can you please explain the difference between rational intellectually thinking in comparison to living thinking, in your opinion? I need more example. I first have to understand the question before I open my mouth. And I'm not quite sure if this, what I understood from your question, is exactly what you mean. Rational, intellectually thinking. Give me an example. And thinking, living thinking. Again, living thinking. The whole thought is based on the content of your consciousness. The content of the consciousness is always dead. So the thought really can't be living thinking unless you're in the moment, because every thought is based on, most thoughts, if not all, based on dead memory, dead information, information that no longer exists. And you have learned all those, and then you try to use those material thinking to come up with something else and invent something or deliver something or whatever. So I'm not sure what you mean by living thinking unless you are one with the now, yet all thoughts are based on the past. Because you know, we talked about it, how consciousness is put together. Let's say we talked about it before, 40, 50 years ago or a million years ago, I don't know how, when, what. But when a man came out of the cave and was about to maybe take a walk and put his foot wrong, or somehow took a fruit from the tree and ate and got a stomachache. So we learned something from that action of eating that. A certain experience happened, and from that experience he gained the knowledge, and that knowledge was recorded in his memory. Or he put his step in a weird way, or the ground was slippery, wet, or was a rock underneath his foot, and he lost his balance and he fell. From that action that he fell, resulting in his falling, a certain experience he gained, that he learned, oh, that's not a good thing to do, so I better make sure my foot is put flat or properly or whatever. Just play the game. I'm just delivering something. So from that action of falling, he learned an experience. An experience, came about. From that experience, knowledge. And that knowledge was recorded in his memory. And the next one and the next one. And before you know it, his consciousness is now got material, got information, all based on action, experience, knowledge, and memory. And from that memory, a thought is born. And from that thought, an action. From that action, experience. From experience, knowledge. That knowledge recorded in the memory, added to the consciousness. So it's expanding. Now from all that again, a new thought is born. And then action, experience, knowledge, and memory again, and so on. So this cycle, if you look at it, then all thoughts are dead, based on dead memory, dead past. Our thoughts are pretty much based on something that's already happened. So when you say living thinking, that I need to understand what you mean, because that doesn't coincide with how thought is born, which is out of dead memory, out of knowledge, which has happened in the past. Everything is heard in the past. And that's why we don't have patience to wait to see what else happens, and we conjure up things from based on the past for what the future is going to be. And then we think, oh, that's how it's going to be. Then we worry about it. Oh, we don't want it to be like this. Well, it hasn't even happened, but you created all that. So, living thinking. So perhaps we can discuss that next time. I think this was a good conversation for now. Erdal says, I will fly to Turkey in some days, but I'm really afraid of flying. I'm really afraid of heights over 3 meters. And big fear of flying. Do you have some tips for me? Well, I don't want to encourage you to do something that you don't want to do, or if something happens to you, 1 in a million, if the aircraft falls down and says, oh, he told me it's safe, go, and I did, I want to sue him. So, I only answer if I'm exempt from any kind of responsibility for what I'm saying. In my opinion, I like flight. I like this whole idea of this aircraft and the flight and all that. Just, I have that interest. And I have piloted the aircraft. I've learned to fly, and it was amazing. I've also parachuted, so I'm not scared of heights, I guess. But I think the best help I can give you is to discuss a little bit, without getting too involved, because my knowledge is limited, about how aircraft flies. You know, you've seen a piece of paper which has no aerodynamic shape. You let it off from a balcony or from the ground, the wind blows, it lifts it up. Why? How? You've seen storms that lift cars up, lift cows up, lift things that don't have any capability of flying, but lifts them up. So there is a power of lifting in the air. Yeah? Air. And when the air is warm, it wants to go higher, which has more lift now. That's why most aircrafts like to fly in a warmer weather than colder weather. It helps the flight easier. It helps to take off easier. Now, the wingspan has two different kind of air pressure. There's a different air pressure when the air is traveling over the wing, and there's a different one when the air is going under the wing. So there's a different pressure under and over. That difference makes the aircraft to go up. Yeah, there's more pressure under and lifts it up. Plus the fact that you don't question, why is it that when you're on a ship, you're not afraid of that? Why is it not sinking? Because you see the material that the ship is floating on. But just like the water that the ship is floating on, the aircraft is floating on something. But you just can't see it. It's a see-through. But it is just as effective, if not more, than keeping something above it, on top of it, than the ocean water. And the ocean, you see the water, then you feel, okay, it's on something. Because you're accustomed, conditioned to think of a physical world. Tangible things. Things that you can see. But air, you can't see it, but it's there. When it blows, you feel it on your face. So it's something there. So aircraft is flying on something. It's not that it is keeping up with its engines. The engines are there just to move it forward. The height, the flight is happening by the air pressure. And what is riding on? It's riding on air. It's not going to fall that easy, for God's sake. You can see gliders have no engine, then they fly up and they go and all that. What are they flying on? Nothing. So if you have that in mind, then you understand that it's like you're traveling on a ship, only safer. Because there's not so much of this or so much of that. And there are no sharks on the way either. So relax. Go. Enjoy. Okay. Now, living thinking is defined by such and such are as reaching to reality only by raising our consciousness in both directions of cognitive. Okay, that's getting a little bit too involved, getting into somebody else's studies. However, based on what I said, perhaps you can find some answer there. Otherwise, we can discuss this maybe next time. Prince, what time do we have now? Have we hit our target time? I don't want to keep you guys too long. And perhaps it's time for me to say goodbye until next week. And Sihan, we can maybe discuss that next time further. And if you already read someone's book on this topic, then let's talk about topics that you haven't read. So, how about that? 12:25. Okay, good. It's time for me to say goodbye for the week. Wish you guys a wonderful week. I'm glad that we could share this time together, and hope this conversation was helpful to give certain kind of hints or directions toward whatever it is that you were hoping to get from this conversation or use it in your daily life. So, love you all. Thank you very much for being here. Look forward to see you next Saturday on my own Facebook page. Do not forget to share the videos that you like or the posts that you like, and encourage your friends to join us on my Facebook page. And hope to see you all next week. Hope you have a wonderful week. Be good to yourself and to the others, and talk to you soon. Bye for now.